Marriage in China is not a fleeting event, nor merely a traditional social ritual. Rather, it is a complete world of symbols that blend collective memory with legal reality, mythical heritage with the challenges of the modern age. Behind every wedding custom lies a story, and within every ritual, a secret of Chinese culture is revealed. A culture that resembles a continent in its diversity and richness. From the bride's tears that transform into farewell songs, to controversial contemporary practices such as slapping rituals, doctor games, and even naked marriage, we find ourselves before a complex tableau that shows how the old intertwines with the new, shaping marriage in China as a symbolic and social space unlike any other. In this video, we will take you on a journey through time and rituals, from mountain villages where women sing farewell songs to the bride, to Chinese courtrooms that criminalize the desecration of graves in cases of so-called ghost marriages, and then to modern wedding halls where heated debates erupt across social media platforms. Stay with us until the end, and don't forget to support us by liking and subscribing so you never miss our latest content. Deep in the mountainous villages of China's Hunan, Hubei, Sichuan, and Chongqing regions, wedding ceremonies are preceded by a unique ritual known as kujia, or what is commonly referred to as crying before marriage. This ritual is not limited to fleeting tears or a momentary emotional release. Rather, it unfolds as a long spiritual journey lasting anywhere from 10 days to an entire month. During this period, tears are transformed into a symbolic language laden with layered meanings. What distinguishes this practice is that it is not merely an emotional act, but a form of inherited oral art in which crying intertwines with singing, giving rise to what folk tradition calls crying songs. In these songs, mournful tones blend with popular wisdom, and farewell becomes a human symphony sung across generations. As the days pass, the scene takes on deeper dimensions. The bride, who begins the ritual alone, does not remain in isolation. On the 10th day, her mother joins her, followed 10 days later by the grandmother, until the scene is completed by the participation of female relatives of various ages. Gradually, the household transforms into a multi-voiced female chorus, where the melodies of the present meet echoes of the past, creating a collective performance that weaves restrained joy with dignified sorrow. This carefully timed sequence, marked by the arrival of mothers, grandmothers, and relatives, adds richness to the ritual and reflects the profound intergenerational bonds at a pivotal moment in a woman's life. The themes carried within these songs reveal their cultural and social functions. They begin with farewell songs to the parents, imbued with gratitude and appreciation for the love and care they have given. This is followed by the mother's song to her daughter, combining tearful advice with guidance for the married life awaiting the bride. The repertoire then extends to songs that include elements of satire or reproach directed at the matchmaker, a symbolic release of implicit resistance to arranged marriages which were once widespread in traditional Chinese society. Here, crying transcends mere emotional expression and becomes a form of cultural protest, an inner voice that grants the young woman space to articulate her feelings at a decisive transitional moment, as she moves from being a daughter under her family's protection to a wife building her own household. With the transformations of Chinese society and the advance of modernization in major cities, the presence of this ritual has declined in urban environments. Nevertheless, it has retained its place in mountainous villages where traditions remain deeply rooted. In fact, some regions have revived the ritual within folkloric performances and cultural tourism, particularly in places such as Zhangjiajie and Tusi Castle, turning it into not only a component of local heritage, but also an element of cultural and economic attraction. Despite this shift from an authentic ritual practice to a folkloric display, kujia remains firmly embedded in Chinese feminine memory, recalled in folk narratives and anthropological studies as a testament to the profound interweaving of social traditions and cultural symbols. With the expanding presence of digital platforms and the widespread circulation of short-form videos, certain wedding traditions in China have shifted from locally rooted symbolic rituals into subjects of intense public controversy. Practices that were once perceived as ritualized humor or collective amusement are now scrutinized under the unforgiving gaze of social media, where traditions are dissected and reassessed through ethical and legal lenses. Among the most prominent of these contemporary phenomena is the practice of slapping the groom on the wedding day. While some defend it as a symbolic test of masculinity and endurance, or as a means of bringing good luck to the couple, the viral spread of recorded footage has exposed serious excesses, where playful gestures devolve into genuine violence capable of leaving physical and psychological scars. As such incidents have increased, calls have grown louder to abolish this practice, which is no longer interpreted as a lucky symbol, but rather as a form of wedding-related violence. Another set of rituals that gained visibility through online platforms is known as the Chinese door games. In these games, the groom is barred from entering the bride's home until he successfully completes a series of challenges. These may include paying money in red envelopes, tasting extremely bitter, sour, or spicy foods, performing exhausting physical exercises, or even wearing women's clothing for comedic effect. However, once these scenes began circulating online, criticism intensified. Many argue that such practices have crossed the line from light-hearted fun into public bullying, subjecting the groom to humiliation before onlookers and online audiences alike. In some villages, footage has documented the practice of dressing the bride in a kitchen apron, traditionally interpreted as a symbol of fertility and domestic competence. Yet this ritual sparked wide debate, dividing opinion between those who view it as a continuation of heritage and those who condemn it as a direct insult to women, one that reproduces restrictive gender stereotypes and confines women to narrowly defined domestic roles. What might once have appeared as a simple gesture has thus evolved into a heated arena for broader discussions about gender, identity, and the limits of acceptable tradition in modern China. In rural areas, certain customs still persist, such as blocking the groom's wedding procession. Local residents may surround the groom's vehicle and prevent it from proceeding until money is paid or cartons of cigarettes are offered. While this practice is often promoted as a test of sincerity and commitment, many regard it as blatant material exploitation that embarrasses the groom and undermines the celebratory spirit of the occasion. The online circulation of such videos has intensified public pressure to reconsider this tradition, which is increasingly perceived not as playful ritual, but as a coercive rural custom. The controversies are not limited to slapping or financial bargaining. More severe practices have emerged under the label of vulgar wedding games, in which brides or grooms are dragged, restrained, or forced into degrading situations that may result in injury. These incidents prompted municipalities such as Zuping to issue official regulations banning such rituals, emphasizing that they distort the spirit of celebration and constitute violations of the rights and dignity of both the couple and the guests. Among the scenes that spread rapidly across digital platforms was the entrance of a bride riding atop a massive mechanical goose in the wedding hall. Supporters justified the spectacle as a symbol of loyalty and eternal love, given that geese in Chinese culture represent marital fidelity and family stability. Public reaction, however, was sharply divided. Some praised it as a creative and humorous innovation, while others denounced it as the height of ostentatious vulgarity and a performance disconnected from authentic tradition. At the same time, several customs once common in the past have gradually disappeared. One such example is the tradition of cigarette offering. During the 1980s and 1990s, it was customary for the bride herself to light a cigarette for every male guest, as a gesture of gratitude. With rising health awareness, this practice has nearly vanished, surviving only in rare archival photographs. Today, it is viewed as a reminder of how wedding customs evolve under the influence of modern health culture. Alongside all these controversial rituals, a striking phenomenon has emerged in recent years, so-called naked marriage. In this arrangement, couples marry without material preparations. No dowry, no house, no car, and not even a wedding ring. This practice does not stem from ancient tradition, but rather represents a social and economic response to soaring living costs and real estate prices. For many young Chinese people, naked marriage is a pragmatic strategy to bypass financial pressure and realize the dream of marriage despite harsh conditions, revealing how traditions adapt and transform under the weight of contemporary economic crises. Beyond the well-known or widely debated practices, China also preserves rarer and more unusual marriage customs. Though these rituals may appear strange at first glance, they are documented and genuinely practiced in certain regions, or at the very least grounded in folkloric narratives with clear historical roots. What seems unfamiliar on the surface often carries deep symbolic meanings tied to fertility, protection, purity, and the transition into a new phase of life. One of the most striking of these practices is the ritual of shooting headless arrows toward the bride. In some Chinese regions, the groom releases 3 arrows without arrowheads in the bride's direction, while she remains covered with a red veil and is carried on a red sedan chair. At the same time, her mother holds a red umbrella above her head. Despite the visual oddity of the scene, its symbolism lies in the groom's public declaration of his role as protector of his new family. Simultaneously, the ritual embodies themes of fertility and good fortune associated with marriage. Here, the color red is far from incidental. It is a foundational symbol in Chinese culture, representing joy, vitality, and life itself, making the ritual a blend of festive celebration and spiritual meaning. The second custom involves shaving the bride's hair on the morning following the wedding, leaving only a single lock uncut. This practice is interpreted as a symbol of purity, cleansing, and the passage from single life into a shared marital existence. The removal of the hair signifies the bride's renunciation of her past in all its details, while the remaining lock serves as a reminder of continuity, a thread connecting her past, present, and future. It may also be understood as an expression of valuing inner beauty over outward appearance, in keeping with traditional values that elevate spiritual clarity and moral integrity within married life. The third ritual centers on food, specifically the serving of half-cooked dumplings to the bride, and sometimes to the groom, on the wedding night. This incompletely cooked dish symbolizes an unfinished birth or the beginning of a new life still in the process of formation. The ritual carries a dual meaning. On one hand, it represents virginity and first beginnings. On the other, it signifies fertility and the wish for children. Dumplings in Chinese culture are traditionally associated with prosperity and abundance, but when served half-cooked, they become a metaphor for something not yet fully realized, much like a seed at the earliest stage of growth. This custom is considered one of the more unusual and striking rituals in traditional Chinese wedding ceremonies, particularly in certain villages and rural areas. After the wedding bed is meticulously prepared, children, often those believed to be healthy or drawn from close relatives, are invited to jump or sit on it. This seemingly simple act is regarded as far more than childish play. It carries profound symbolic meanings closely associated with fertility and blessing. It is believed that the presence of children on the bed brings goodness and abundance to the newlyweds' household. Their innocent movements are interpreted as signs of a future family rich in offspring, transforming the bed at that moment into a fertile symbol of new life. Through the positive energy attributed to children, the bed becomes a space saturated with hope and optimism, charged with expectations of continuity and growth. Beyond its symbolic dimension, this ritual extends into deeper cultural and social realms. What appears to be a modest, innocent human act is elevated into a powerful symbol reflecting the community's vision of marriage and family life. It serves as an implicit promise that the new union will not be limited to the two partners alone, but will expand to produce children and ensure the continuation of lineage. At the heart of this ritual landscape lies more than a collection of old social practices. It reveals a symbolic battle that reflects the deep tension between entrenched tradition and the pressures of modernity. In recent years, Chinese authorities have expressed growing concern over the spread of extravagant wedding celebrations, which have evolved into costly displays of social competition. This concern has reached the point of direct intervention, with strict regulations issued to curb wasteful practices and prevent deviations from the core socialist values the state seeks to uphold. These celebrations have moved far beyond traditional symbolism, transforming into frenzied festivals of excessive spending. Vast sums are poured into luxury gifts, while games and rituals are staged that sometimes cross into humiliation or even physical harm. Among the most shocking recorded cases was that of a man who suffered serious injuries after attempting to escape one of the so-called deceptive pranks orchestrated during his wedding, only to collide with a car. Such incidents reveal how what should symbolize joy and social cohesion has, in some instances, become a scene of pressure and degradation. Even practices known as mock dowry stunts, involving the staged escape of the groom or the simulated kidnapping of the bride, are no longer viewed as symbolic or humorous rituals, but rather as exaggerated forms of social and psychological coercion that strip the occasion of its dignity and original meaning. In response, authorities have not remained idle. Municipalities such as Zuping have begun issuing decisive measures that abolish vulgar rituals and prohibit their manifestations, emphasizing that marriage should embody joy and dignity rather than violence and humiliation. Within this policy framework, the government has intervened to impose financial caps on cash gifts and limits on the number of guests, in an effort to reorganize wedding ceremonies as respectful social occasions, free from excessive display and ostentation. The move has resembled an official declaration of resistance against a culture of extravagance and a call to return to more modest values aligned with the spirit of collective harmony. In conclusion, it becomes clear that what may appear as peculiarities within Chinese wedding rituals are not mere folkloric curiosities, but reflective mirrors of social transformation and value-based tensions. From the bride's tears in the Kujia ritual to the symbolism of ghost marriages, from controversial practices amplified by the age of social media to rare customs such as shooting headless arrows or shaving the bride's hair after the wedding, we see that marriage in Chinese culture transcends its role as a social contract to become a symbolic space in which the individual's relationship with family and society is continually reshaped, and through which the story of the collective is written, generation after generation. And here we reach the end of today's video. Don't miss the chance to stay connected. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you never miss our latest content.